My homosexuals, how are we doing? I hope you're doing as great as I'm doing today. No matter how bad the injury, no matter what the hell I'm going through, God, I have missed you guys. It's nice not having to edit stuff for like 2 to 3 hours for once, for a couple days. But man, I cannot explain to you how, like, I get like tingles, like I get the itch when I'm just sitting around doing jack shit for days on end without being able to put in the work and work out. Of course, I'm still at home doing my isometrics, trying to make my knee feel better, but it's a very slow process. And just doing isometrics, if you could ever fucking believe it, is goddamn boring. It just does not hit nearly as hard as whipping some heavy weight over your head. And now, just getting right into it, we are not going heavy for a minute. I do not mean to disappoint, but we gotta make sure our body's healthy, and we gotta prioritize what is truly important, and that is the health of my knee. You know, it's gotta come back. It's a very slow process. Anything that happens with a tendon or a ligament, joint, whatever, it takes weeks minimum, no matter how minor. I think I have the most minor, like, I don't even know if it's worth calling a tear, but I think I have the most minor tear imaginable for it when it comes to the knee tendon or knee ligament. I'm not sure which one, but regardless of that, snatches felt great. It was actually very relieving to know that my Olympic lifts are still there. They're mostly technical. I don't have to worry about my knee on them because they require way less overall strength and I don't feel that like that isolation right in my knee like I do it on a main squat, you know. So I'm very, very grateful, even though I'm going super light today, just touching on 65%, making sure I feel okay, getting back into the swing of it, because it's been a minute since I've done 5 sets of 3, and no matter how light it is, I'm gonna be huffing and puffing. It's just, that's how it goes whenever you got to take some time off. But again, got to be grateful. I got on the overhead squats really thinking that, like, after the past 3 days of rest that I had and the isometrics I did last week and just taking my time feeling everything out, that I would be better. And, you know, I say it all the time, but the moment you make some amazing fucking progress in the gym, your body is going to slap you right the hell down. You are going to get humbled so damn fast. That's what plateaus are for. And a lot of people think that sucks and it's a bad thing, but it's really a blessing in disguise. Like, every time you get knocked down a peg because, maybe not just because you were going too heavy all the time, but more so you just made so much progress at once that your body couldn't handle it. It's good to be able to listen to your body and chill out and let it come back at 100%. I've talked about this before, but there's so many goddamn studies of people who go through really hard major injuries, take all the time off they need, just do all the very, very light stuff, like 50-60%, doing the slow tempo pause reps, feeling everything out, and then they come back and try the normal lifts very slowly once they are 100% healed. You can't just go into the gym and feel slightly off and be like, it's good enough. You got to be at 100%. Like, I'm not going to be hitting heavy weight on my squats or anything for that matter until I can confidently crush the fuck out of my knees with no cares about anything. You know, I had texted my homie today about it, and I was like, we will not be lifting heavy until I can crush my knees with a smile. You know, I need to, and then again, I say crush my knees not in a volatile way. It's not like literally like hurting my knees or anything, but it's just swinging yourself under the bar and getting as deep and controlled as you can without any kickback. You've got to be at 100% to do these lifts. Even for power lifts, the Olympic lifts are a lot more technical, and so you got to be very careful with that. But no matter what you're doing, like power lift or not, or Olympic lift or not, whatever you're doing, even bodybuilding, if you are not at 100%, you got to chill out. You got to do the stretches. You got to take the time. You know, it's your body begging you to just breathe for 5 fucking minutes and be like, dude, we don't have to work out every 6 out of 8 days like I do and going hard as shit every single day. We can chill out for like a month or two and then get back on it and spend another year or two or so getting back on the bandwagon, getting as strong as we can. And I swear to God, I will make progress the moment this injury is over because I am maintaining my strength along the way. I'm not going to be able to get stronger while this thing's happening. It's just not possible. You know, if I do, I'm going to tear it. That's just how it is. So in the meantime, all I can do is maintain my technique, my core, and my maintain as much strength as I can. You know, it might not be 100% from what I was doing before, but it's going to be pretty damn close. Typically, if you're consistent with doing what your body's actually capable of doing. And last thing, with the snatch pulls, I thought those were going to feel like normal, but I didn't really realize until I got to it, which again, I'm happy to be humbled and be able to take my time and doing different variants of these moves is fun sometimes. But I got the 2 plates and I was like, okay, well, the driving off of the ground it puts a lot of stress on my quads and knees. Not so much as the squat does, because I go so much deeper when it comes to like my hips, whatever. But there's still that tension, and I'm like, okay, well, it's not really worth it to train this like normal if I even feel the slightest inkling of weirdness. It's really odd to talk about this shit in hindsight, because typically in injuries and weightlifting, you're like, oh, well, if you're in pain, and I always say this too, if you feel any pain, don't lift. That means you're injured, you know? But it's the first time I think that I've had an injury, quote unquote, and there's no pain, you know? It's just sore. It's just weak. It feels like the moment I got the injury, it feels like I am already in like the last like few weeks of recovery that someone would typically go through if they had a major tear. You know, if they had like done recovery work for like 6 months to a year, I feel like I'm already at the end of that year, even though it just happened. Like, that's how minor it really is. And again, that I got to give myself some credit for that, because I backed off the moment I felt it. I have to let myself relax and listen to my body in that way. But regardless of that, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're already halfway through this shit and I haven't told you how I'm doing. Physically, it's a little weird because, again, you know, it's hard to have that big ego, that big pride, that explosiveness when I'm trying to just whip under the weight or bomb on my squats as fast and as confidently as I can. So, you know, we'll give it a very solid 7.85, you know? It felt great. Again, the snatches I'm very happy with. I had a couple whiffy ones. Like, it's been like I took 3 days off, and with my knee, it's bound to feel a little weird at first. This is why we do deloads. You know, they're necessary to get back into it properly without being at more risk for more injury. And even though I didn't get to go heavy on my overhead squats or my snatch pulls, just because I don't want to rush it with my knees, I tried out new variants. I did some nice long pauses on my pulls and some nice slow tempo pause reps on my overhead squats, and I couldn't be goddamn happier. Not because I want to do those lifts. Trust me, I used to train pause reps every other week, and it is painful. It hurts. But it's what's necessary sometimes. And again, it's nice to have a little bit of refreshness. You know, I don't have to do just slow tempo pause reps every single time. You know, what I did a year ago when I messed up my hand, because I had abnormal bone growth, just came out of nowhere. I couldn't really control it. I had to take 10 weeks off. So I just decided, okay, I'm not going to push it, and I'm going to keep maintaining my strength, my core, and my technique along the way. But let's have fun with it, you know? I got to have some new goals other than just having some slightly boring workouts that I'm not as hyped to do. So you got to make it hype for yourself. You know, so I literally would, because I couldn't bend my wrist back all the way. I remember there was one time I pause repped. I was doing zombie squats, put on 275, and I decided that, okay, no reps today. We're just going to do one pause rep as long as I can hold it. So I did a slow tempo on the way down, sat as ass to grass as my ass can go, and I just sat there breathing, holding it as long as I possibly can, and then stood it back up just for the one, just to have some fun with it, you know? It's not something that's like high risk for injury or anything, because it's super light. And I was just, you know, it's such a controlled movement. Like, anytime you do like pause movements, as long as you're not overdoing the weight, it's pretty hard to get fucking injured as long as your technique is there and all that shit. So I ended up pause repping 275 on a zombie squat for like 30 straight seconds, and I was like, God damn, I'm kind of built different. And I did the same shit on 365 back squat. I also paused that for 30 seconds at the bottom. So, you know, any of you who go through this kind of shit with injuries, it's always gonna suck. You know, I'm right there fucking with you. But god damn, like, there's always more that you can do to make this shit fun. You don't have to just lock yourself down to these original goals that you had. You change every day, and you got to adapt to your body. That's just life, you know? Oh, But again, my bad. Before this fucking video ends, because I've been edging you guys for 10 straight fucking minutes, mentally. Because this is where the whole shit comes together. You know, this is how you truly know where I'm at. And honestly, a very soothing 8.2. Nothing too crazy. Good bit higher than the physical. But it's not, again, sometimes the mental is not just derived from how hyped I am. A lot of times that can influence in a very good, positive, high way. But today is just one of those days. I say soothing because I'm just relaxed, you know? I'm confident, but I'm patient. I am in this for the long run. I've always been in this sport for the longevity's sake of it. I'm not trying to hurt myself by the time I'm in my late 20s and quit forever after hitting my peak. You know, that's not, I don't want that. I want to go as long as I possibly can. So the only way to fucking do that is to take the time that I got to do to truly listen to my body. Like I promise you, when you get enough experience, and you know, I hope you don't have to go through it, but every good lifter gets through a shitty injury, you know? And again, I don't mean that in a sense of you're not going to be a good lifter if you don't go through an injury. It's just the ones who can go through and properly do the PT, properly give it the time off it needs, properly do the isometrics, whatever you got to do to just make it better in the long run, taking it day by day, being patient. Those are the ones who truly succeed, you know? I'm not comparing myself to anyone by any means, but this is why I'm confident, you know? I got that. The passion's still there. Passion is not any weaker, you know? I'm not as hyped, maybe, because I live to strength lift, but God damn it, I can lift. I gotta be grateful. I gotta be just happy in general that I can still show up to a positive environment that can uplift me. And again, if you're not doing the lifts that you want to do and you're having shitty days because you're just being piss poor about all these isometrics and accessory work that you got to do before you get back on the normal lifts, that's a choice, you know? You got to take your own life into your own hands and just be as positive as you can about the situation you've got. I say this all the time. Life does not work with us. We work with life. We don't get a choice in what's thrown at us. But the only thing we get a choice in is how we're going to present ourselves and how we're going to develop our mindset about the shit that we got to go through. So we can either sit there and cry and bitch for however many weeks it takes to get over the injury. And then because of all that bitching, the moment you get back, you're probably going to get injured twice as bad right away. Because, I've been there. I'm not fucking perfect. After I tore my low back when I was 18, the moment I got back, I almost busted my knees open because I went heavy too quick. It happens. You know, that's just how that shit goes. But we're in it for the long haul. And I love this shit too much to overdo it. And I love the fact that I have the experience to say that, you know? It's not so much that I'm saying that what I do is more correct or that because I have more experience, I'm more correct than other people. I just love the things that I do, and I love the way that I lift, and I love the experiences that I've gotten to collect over time and what that's meant for my personal life, my mindset, and my body, of course. So I'm going to keep doing the best I can and embracing the current situation so that all this listening to my body and making sure that everything is growing at the rate that it needs to for the current level that I'm at, even though I was stronger last week, we're not at that level anymore. It changes every single fucking day, so you got to adapt right on the money and move with it, you know? You can either get left behind and be sad, or you can get on that high horse and fucking run it. So I'm ranting now, so I got to fucking get away from you guys. I missed you too much. I get ranty when I can't talk to the homosexuals for too long. But regardless of all that, you'll see me tomorrow. I'm going to get in there and do some clean and jerks and back squats. Again, the squats cannot go heavy for a while. I gotta put a big foot down on that for the sake of my overall recovery in the long term. So even if I do a plate, 185, 225, I don't give a shit. You know, we're gonna make it difficult for the capacity that I can tomorrow, because I can make it difficult if I choose to. We'll do some very, very slow pause reps, and I promise you, I'll be breathing and I'll be sweating by the end of it. And then hopefully, when I'm recovered, no strength lost. That's how it goes, you know? That's just the best way to do it. But, you know, let me know how your lives and your lifts have been going. I appreciate you guys hanging out. And, you know, I love you guys, you know? I'll be back tomorrow. See ya.